Hello, Internet. Do you know why my hair's so crazy right now? Because I tried to film this video 3 times. This is my 3rd attempt. It has been over an hour and a half. Anyway, on to better subjects. Today's book that I've just finished is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. Many of you might know it is the 2nd book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or the 3rd and 4th books in the sextet if you're going to be snotty about it. According to my copy, the book was published in 1954, although I don't trust most of things my copy says. This story could be misprinted for all I know. It falls apart. So I have 3 confessions about this book. First of all, I've never actually read the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy. I tried to read them when I was in about 2nd grade. I'd read The Hobbit, loved The Hobbit, got through The Fellowship, didn't make it all the way through Two Towers. So 7-year-old self, 19-year-old self has won. Take that. Second confession, I've seen all the movies and I love them. I guess that's not really as bad a confession in terms of all things, but I pride myself in trying to read the books first and then see the movies, so I guess for me that's worse. Third confession, Tolkien is very hard for me to read, and it's not because he's not a great writer, because he is. Basically, I'm a very fast reader in most cases, and this book took me about 6 months to finish. Granted, 5.5 of those months I was reading 1 or less pages a day. I don't mean to sound snotty or anything about it, because it's good that these books really force you to slow down and pay attention, but for me, someone who's used to just blazing through books, it's a little bit like, better slow down and pay attention for a second. His writing style is great because it's very evocative of different imagery and smells and sounds, and you can literally picture these places when you read them because he uses so much detail. But at the same time, he will describe every type of tree that they possibly could see while walking through a forest. And I know I shouldn't be impatient with that because it's about the journey and you're supposed to appreciate it, but I find myself not caring as much about the trees as I should. Except the Ents. I like the Ents. So basically, quickie summary for those of you who don't know this book. Both books follow the 2 parts of the Broken Fellowship. Spoiler alert! So the first book mostly follows Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas tracking down Merry and Pippin after Boromir dies. It follows the fall of Isengard, and it also focuses on the Battle of Hornburg, also known as the Battle of Helm's Deep. Hornburg is a part of Helm's Deep, apparently. I just learned this today. Book 4, or the 2nd part of the Two Towers, focuses mostly on Frodo and Sam, and later on Gollum and Smeagol and their journey to get to Mordor to destroy the ring. Seriously, it's a lot of walking. Quickie summary. What stuck out to me the most, obviously having never read the books before, is how different the books and the movies are. And that's not to say that Peter Jackson didn't do an excellent job in adapting them, because I love the movies, and a lot of the scenes stay super true to the book, but there are a lot of scenes that don't. For instance, Aragorn never falls off a cliff and gets kissed by a horse. And Pippin doesn't actually ever have to trick the Ents into going to war, really. The Ents just decide to go to war at the meeting of the Ents. Harum! Also, they build up a lot of the tension in the Two Towers by having all of the women and the children in these caves behind Helm's Deep, and they're kind of being sheltered there while the battle's going on, and they're worried they're going to get through. But in the books, there's not that same tension because the women and children and all the refugees are in Dunharrow with Éowyn, and so they're pretty safe. They're like over there somewhere. And one of my favorite parts is during Helm's Deep, when they're worried that they're going to lose the battle and it seems so hopeless, and then the elves show up and kick all kinds of ass. There were no elves in Helm's Deep besides Legolas. And at the end, Eomer, I apologize for pronunciation, I'm not very good at this. Eomer, the long-haired horseman, isn't the one who comes over the hill with Gandalf and saves everyone. It's this other guy who I don't know. It's Erkenbrand. Who is Erkenbrand? He's the Lord of Westfold. He's just like this knight. One of the other things that's in the book that I love, that isn't in the movies, and obviously he can incorporate anything, are the, I'm sorry for the pronunciation again, the Hurons? Huorns? The Huorns? Basically, they're like trees. It's like this moving forest. And they're not Ents. They're trees that have become Entish, or Ents that have become tree-ish. And they're just like this massive, moving, terrifying-ass forest. And they, like, eat piles of dead orcs and stuff. I mean, that's not actually what they do, but, like, it's kind of what they do. No orcs will survive the trees of death! Also, one of the biggest differences, to me anyway, is the characterization that you see in the novel compared to the book. So first of all, Sam bugs the shit out of me, and he doesn't stop bugging the shit out of me until the last 2 chapters of The Two Towers. And Sam's one of my favorite characters in the movies, but he's really annoying in the books. I'm sorry, Sam, you're loyal as everything, and we love you, but Jesus. And Aragorn, it's like, in the movies, he's this kind of humble guy who, like, has kingdom kind of thrust upon it. Like, the journey between, like, the first movie and the third movie is more like his reluctant acceptance into becoming the king, and then finally he accepts it. And in the books, Aragorn cannot get enough of reminding people he's the king. It's like, I'm Aragorn, I'm the king. Oh, we're going to see King Theoden now. No, you cannot touch my sword, it is the sword of kings. Okay, we get it. It's great. You have a king's sword. He does that like 6 or 7 times over the course of the book. And it's good. No hating on Aragorn, it's just very different than the Aragorn I'm used to. But this is Tolkien's Aragorn, so we can't crap on him either. I think for me the biggest character difference is with Faramir, Boromir's younger brother. In my opinion, I think the biggest difference between book Faramir and movie Faramir is movie Faramir, you get this guy whose father doesn't love him as much as his older brother, and so he's trying to make his father proud, he's trying to emulate his older brother, he's like trying to be Boromir Part 2, and, you know, bring the ring to his dad and make everyone proud of him. And in the book, he's not like that at all. Like, he makes a snide comment about how he'd be the good son if he did bring the ring, but he never tries to take the ring, he never tries to bring the ring to his dad, he never does anything but hold them there to make sure that they're not doing anything bad. And then when he finds out what they're doing, he gives them advice and he gives them food and he says, I don't know, you should be going to Mordor. And then Frodo's like, yeah, we gotta go to Mordor. And then he's like, okay, go to Mordor, don't trust Gollum, but have a good time. And you see right away, Faramir takes a long time to consider what's going on, to see what he should do with the hobbits that he just found randomly in the woods after being attacked. So he's much more thoughtful, and he's much more, I don't know, I almost want to say his own person in the books than he is in the movies. And bear in mind, I'm only on book 2 right now. This is just my opinion. So we'll see where the character development comes in book 3. It's obvious that Peter Jackson took a little bit of artistic liberty with some of them. I would say mostly to make people a little bit more relatable or a little more likable. Just like, I can't relate to book Aragorn as much as I can relate to movie Aragorn. Like, I feel for him more. But at the same time, he wanted to put a little bit more gray in Faramir, I think, and not make him look like such, like, the best guy. I also think Smeagol is a lot more sympathetic in the movies to me than in the books. But I know in the movies I was much more skeptical as if he was actually willing to betray them than in the books. It was kind of inevitable. Maybe that's just me being naive, though. Anyway, I really like this book. Definitely recommend reading it. If you're a fan of any kind of fantasy or the Lord of the Rings movies and you haven't gotten around to reading the books, you will definitely like them, and I recommend it. They are slow reading. I feel like The Fellowship's a little bit faster moving, and so I actually like The Fellowship a little bit better, but I haven't gotten to Return of the King yet either. But I need to take a little break between this one and Return of the King. Probably read something with a little bit less trees. So that's my review of the day. I hope you like it, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace, Internet.